Hello everybody, this is TechHut. In this video, what we're going to be doing is talking about one of the coolest little gadgets. This is the NextDock, or more specifically, this is the NextDock. And yes, you heard that right, this is not really technically a laptop, it is a dock for other devices with a laptop-like form factor. And when it comes to the overall build and design, it is definitely sleek. It works by plugging in almost any device that can support video out via a USB-C. Just like the Samsung phone here, this has Samsung DeX. This device is built more or less for phones that do support kind of desktop modes, and they do have a list of compatible smartphones that this is actually intended for, but I am getting a little ahead of myself. First, let's talk about what we get in the box. Of course, we get our NextDock, and we will be talking about some of the specific specifications of this guy here soon, but we get a bunch of different USB-Cs, some specifically for data charging. We get a C to A adapter. We get a mini HDMI to HDMI cable here so you can use it for other devices. On this side, this USB-C is specifically data in for the phone or whatever device you want to connect to it via USB-C. And then sliding down here, we have our mini HDMI in. Flipping it over to this side, we have another USB-C specifically for charging the device. We have a headphone jack, we have a little slot here for a micro SD card, we have our power button, and then another USB Type-C here. Another data port, so peripherals, you could plug another dock into it if you wanted to, a bunch of different use cases. This screen that you see right here is a 13.3-inch IPS touch screen display, so you can see it's touch screen, very nice. 1080p, 16:9. And what makes it really nice with that touch screen is we can flip it over and then we have a big tablet. So you can see we can manipulate it and work with it just like that, or we can have it like that, pop it up, use it as kind of a entertainment system, really whatever you want to do. This thing does have a battery in it, specifically a 5800 milliamp hour battery, and it is really nice because when you plug devices into it through this USB Type-C, it actually charges the devices. So right now, my phone is getting a charge directly from this dock. It has some speakers up here which actually sound fairly decent. The keyboard is really nice to use. The keys are clicky. It's not to the level as like a MacBook Air or something like that, but it's definitely above the grade that you're going to be paying for this thing, which I do believe is about $300. The keyboard is definitely better than a average keyboard you'll see on a $300 laptop, which it should be. I mean, you're not really getting a motherboard, RAM, CPU, anything like that. Now, before I actually talk about my personal experience using it, I do have to quickly thank the sponsor of today's video, Linode. Go ahead to linode.com, set up your very own Linux server with ease. They have a whole bunch of different Linux distributions to pick from, as well as one-click installers to get services, websites, whole bunch of stuff spun up with ease, and you can use the link down below for a $100 60-day credit to get started today. Now, when it comes to actually using this thing, overall it has been a wonderful experience. The best experience that you could probably get from this is its intended use case, which is plugging in a phone directly to it with DeX. Because I did try this via wireless, it does work, you can connect to it. In my case, it automatically detected it. When you first boot it up, you get a screen that looks like this. I'll show you real quick. There we go, I unplugged it. You get this little screen of how to, or your various connection methods. You have USB-C, you have NextDock is ready, and then it gives you some information on how to connect separate components wirelessly. So if you have a US or a Bluetooth-enabled device, you can connect all the separate components and actually use this that way. When I connected it wireless, the first couple times it automatically did everything, including the keyboard and all that, but for some reason when I went to record this video, it wasn't wanting to connect properly, so I did have to connect normal DeX wirelessly and then connect the Bluetooth keyboard separately. So you could see that this is not plugged in right now, and I'm able to control my phone with this because I haven't disconnected the Bluetooth. So with wireless it works, but it's a little more choppy. It's not the perfect experience. Plugging it in direct with that USB-C is going to give you a wonderful experience. And this video isn't going to be going into the depths of DeX and what Samsung has to offer in that regard. But I personally picked up this S20 for I think like $200 specifically to record this video, and I have to say, it is a really cool piece of software, being able just to plug in your phone and have access to all your applications, all your Google Docs or whatever you happen to be working in, really easy on a big screen in a laptop type just experience. It is really nice. Now me personally, I do really love it, but I'm not going to be in this kind of environment all the time. I actually found some of the best use cases for this. One, I have a home lab, so I'm constantly kind of upgrading things, playing around with that. And there's a lot of times I have to like find a little portable monitor, plug in some keyboards and stuff like that. With this, I was able just to plug in that single type C into my kind of home lab computer, have the monitor, keyboard, touchpad, all that, and be able to like do a Proxmox install. That was awesome. Now there is a slight problem. The software that's pre-included that kind of gives us that little setup screen. It's Android mode. This right here, this does not like it when you have like HDMI plugged into it and you reboot. This will kind of override it. So if you were like me and I kept having to reboot my system doing updates, I kept having to unplug and plug in the HDMI every time it rebooted to kind of get it to override this. But that was really the only negative with that experience. Now with everything that you could actually do with this dock, my favorite use case, bar none, is using it as probably the very best Steam Deck accessory that money can buy. There we go. We now have SteamOS on a laptop form factor, and this is really nice, especially if you're playing a game that the Steam Deck controls aren't really that great for. For example, something here like City Skylines, that would be a good use case. Or really any top-down RTS strategy type game would, this makes it awesome. And playing games on it is kind of cool. But what's really nice is if we go over here, power, and switch to desktop mode, you can see we now have basically kind of a laptop running an Arch Linux system with KDE Plasma. This basically making any Steam Deck customization, modification, setup, emulation, anything like that really easy to do. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be going on a trip soon, and I do think I'm just going to take the Steam Deck with this NextDock, and I will have a full computing experience doing that. No need to carry around an extra keyboard and mouse. Well, I'm probably going to carry a mouse anyway, because trackpads, unless if you're using like an Apple product, aren't generally the best. But this one right here will definitely get you by. And better yet, it's technically charging my Steam Deck even though it's registering as a slow charger. So with that, what do you think of the NextDock? Is this an item that you may find of interest for your use cases? Do you like to use Samsung decks or anything like that? Do you think it would be a good plug and play for something like the Steam Deck? Or is it one of the coolest little IT devices to go ahead and plug into your server? It really does have a lot of different use cases, and I'm happy they sent it over for review. If I were to purchase this thing, or if I were to not have this in my possession, it's definitely something I would consider purchasing. With all that, I do hope you have an absolutely beautiful day, and goodbye.